This year I had the amazing opportunity to travel to Costa Rica by taking an international business class at Penn State Lehigh Valley. In order to prepare for the trip, I needed to make sure that my vaccinations were up to date, prepare financially for the trip, and since this was my first time leaving the country, I needed to file for a United States passport. While I was preparing for the trip, my family was extremely supportive of my decision, and they were almost more excited for me than I was. Many of my friends thought I was crazy because they thought that the trip was not going to be equivalent of the financial cost. They also thought that Costa Rica is such a random place, why would I want to go there? Although my friends thought these things, I saw a great opportunity that I had a chance to take. I knew that this would be a great experience because I didn't think there was anything negative that could come out of a global experience. Upon arriving in Costa Rica, I immediately noticed the heat and humidity that I would be experiencing for the next week. I saw the gorgeous landscapes, mountains, valleys, rivers, and so much more. From the view of the airplane, this was an unforgettable sight. I was excited to see how well my Spanish skills were from previous education. I knew that I would be able to communicate in Spanish, but the culture shock from landing in a Spanish-speaking country was an adrenaline rush for me. When we arrived at La Selva Biological Station, I noticed the wildlife and vegetation that I would be able to learn more about throughout the next few days, how the people function through their daily lives, and a very calm culture rather than a tense and stressed out culture that I often see in the United States. The housing conditions in La Selva were decent compared to the rest of Costa Rica, yet they were much less than that of the United States. Cold showers were something that all of us on the trip would quickly have to get used to. The food that we were to eat mostly consisted of rice and beans for just about every meal. It was a new diet that many of us were not used to. The food was good, but it got very boring after a few days. The rainforest of La Selva was extremely full of life, with monkeys, sloths, iguanas, snakes, frogs, and so much more. It was great to see all the different types of wildlife that is not normally seen in the United States. We went on a few guided night tours where we learned about the animals that are nocturnal and how the different species live. Much of the exploring that we did in La Selva was on the trails throughout the rainforest. One of my favorite parts of the trip was water rafting on the river in Sarapiqui near La Selva Biological Station. We got to experience the warm water of the river on an absolutely beautiful day. We saw many animals, plants, villages, and so much more. We had 3 amazing tour guides on this trip that taught us about the culture, wildlife, and vegetation of Sarapiqui, Costa Rica. Our tour guides led us to a spot on the river that they often use for cliff diving and allowed us to jump off the cliffs into the water. This is something that I have always wanted to do, and I was ecstatic to hear we were going to do this. After getting to know the tour guides for the past few days, we started to develop friendships as they taught us much about the area. Our last stop of the rafting trip was on a small island right on the shore of the river. The 3 tour guides showed us their food preparation skills by cutting up fruit and allowing us to have a small picnic. These guys had a great humor and were very fun to be around with. The 3 tour guides own and operate the rafting company together, as well as doing a few other part-time jobs to support their families. Next we went to a Dole banana farm that was located just a few minutes down the road by bus from the La Selva Biological Station. This banana farm was something that I was very excited to see and learn more about. We learned about the entire process of growing and selling bananas and many other details about how this specific farm operates. The reason that the bananas are wrapped in plastic is to keep the insects off the bananas and also to create a warm and humid atmosphere for the bananas to grow in. Bananas are also harvested when they are green because on average the bananas will not reach the grocery store until 27 days after they are harvested. The bananas are harvested off the banana plants and then sent into the factory where they are processed and packaged. We learned that many of these workers only earn the equivalent of about $27 per day. These workers only work during the hours of the day that the sun is out because if they turn on artificial lights, it causes the insects to be attracted to the factory as well as to the bananas themselves. The banana factory produces about 3 semi-trucks full of bananas per day. Overall, going to the banana farm was a great experience not only because I got to learn about the process of harvesting and processing bananas, but most importantly, it taught me about the business aspect of how the banana farm is run and how the bananas are eventually sold. Because of this tour, I got a great overall picture of how international business operates, communicates, and sells the products in other countries. Next, we traveled from Sarapiqui to Monteverde. This trip was a 7-hour bus ride that took us across the entire country of Costa Rica. This was one of my favorite parts of the trip because it allowed us to see the entire country rather than just one location. We rode on the bus through cities, rural areas, mountains, valleys, rivers, and lastly a rock road to arrive at Monteverde. I was extremely grateful for this bus ride because I saw so many parts of the country that otherwise I would not have seen. Our bus driver stopped at a place that many tourists go to take pictures. Many of us ran out of the bus to get pictures of the waterfall and the river. By this time of the trip, we had become a closely knit group of friends that were ready to take on any adventure. When we arrived at Monteverde, we stayed at a branch campus of the University of Georgia. The living conditions were great at this location, but the food was similar to that in La Selva. We did similar activities in Monteverde, including hiking, birdwatching, and much more. We next went to a coffee farm where a local man taught us about how he grows and sells coffee to the local people in Monteverde. He gave us a tour of his farm where we learned that he also grows sugarcane, oranges, bananas, and a few other fruits. It was great to learn about how the farm operates and how they sell their products once they have been harvested. The man who owned the farm did not speak English, so one of the tour guides who was with us decided that she would translate for us so we could understand what the man was saying. In his small house, he taught us about the process of how he grows coffee and the best ways to prepare coffee. This is the same man that gave us a tour of his farm. He showed us how he bakes and packages the coffee, as well as allowing us to taste some of the coffee that he grew and prepared. I realized that this was the best coffee that I had ever had, so I decided to buy a package for myself. On the label of the package, he has a picture of his family, as well as the contact information that you may need to buy more coffee from him. Throughout the trip, I was able to see so much wildlife and vegetation that I never imagined I would ever see. The flowers, birds, trees, and waterfalls were absolutely gorgeous. From my experience here, I would definitely suggest to other people to travel and see the world because there are some amazing things that are available to see and learn about. I was very thankful to have had this global experience, and I am already planning on going on another global study program. Although I enjoyed traveling and all the experiences, I learned that I personally belong in the United States. I will take every chance that I get to travel to other countries, yet I would like to live in the United States. While traveling, I miss Italian food as well as my family and friends. I cannot wait to go on another global study program.